Wait. Okay, so it's for the kids, right? Are they protecting Brussels sprouts?
Ba-dum-tsh.
Computer running slow? Has your machine somehow acquired a life of its own? Or do you simply desire a deeper and more meaningful connection? Be one with your operating system. It's Arizona's computer guru, Mike Swanson, and his show starts now. Listen in, chat in, and watch live streaming at gurushow.com. Want your voice to be heard? Call in with your questions and riddles. The number is 520-790-2040. This is the Computer Guru Show on AM 1030, KVOI, The Voice.
Hello and welcome to the Computer Guru Show. My name is Mike, here to deal with your technology needs and treat you like a person in the process. 520-790-2040 if you want to be part of the show. That's 790-2040. Is your weekend free support as usual. And I got last week I was all alone. Nobody's here.
Yep, not even good old Standby Rob.
All right, Standby Rob wasn't here.
It's my nickname that I just made up for myself.
It is now.
That's right. That goes with Rockin' Rob.
Yeah, the guys in the shop always
Right.
call me that. Howard. Only Howard, actually. No one else.
But I got a full complement here today.
I'm here. That's what's important. It's just...
Whatever.
Just saying.
Hello, Kent. How are you this weekend?
Doing well, Mr. Guru. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
All right, man.
You know, we were talking what we're going to talk about before the show. All right, so as normal, we're sitting outside and having this conversation. And, you know, there's just some weeks that are worse than others.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because we started doing these little rant segments on YouTube lately, and it would almost seem like we're trying to rant about things just for that now, but it's just coincidence. There's just things to rant about.
It is just coincidence. So first, let's just start with some security news. Do you have TeamViewer on your computer?
I don't anymore.
Nope, you shouldn't. Basically, TeamViewer is getting hacked. They say that they're not. It's pretty apparent that they're... In TeamViewer's defense, it may not be an actual hack. This may be the result of a data breach from a while back, and nobody changed their passwords.
Yeah.
But that there's also some issues that TeamViewer has. Right? If you are going to continue to use TeamViewer, you need to change your passwords immediately, and you need to turn on two-factor authentication.
That, I mean, any account that offers you two-factor authentication, you should be using it.
Right. Now, the reason that it's important with things like TeamViewer is that it gives you root access to the machine. Right? It gives you trusted level admin access to the computer, assuming that that's the access that the logged in user has as TeamViewer is running. However, you can do all kinds of background stuff in TeamViewer. You can reset passwords, elevate admin levels, right? Because TeamViewer runs as a system service. It runs as service or as system, so that means that you can change whatever you want to change on the computer and do all kinds of craziness.
You can also do Wake on LAN with TeamViewer, right? So even if your computer's off, it isn't necessarily...
If it's sleeping.
Yeah.
But Wake on LAN is notoriously sort of unreliable.
Yeah.
That's one of those things that I see Wake on LAN options like in BIOS and all of this stuff, and I just chuckle to myself. I'm like, that has never, ever worked.
I'll honestly say that I've tried a few times, and on no machine at any point have I ever gotten it to work.
Right, Wake on LAN is ridiculous.
I feel like they just made it up and never actually built the tech for it. They were just like, yeah, let's just put the option in there.
Well, I think it worked like back in the Windows 95 days. You know, but I don't think it's worked since.
You know how you can never tell if a crosswalk button is connected to anything?
Right?
It's kind of like that.
It's kind of like that.
Placebo.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just, let's just hope it works. It's plug and pray. Okay, so TeamViewer. If it's on your machine, get rid of it or change your passwords and enable two-factor authentication. There have been a number of reports. I mean, not just a couple. But they referred to it in the article as the fire hose of complaints. It is just, it's erupting.
TeamViewer saying that it's not a hack is kind of, it's like a non sequitur because computers that don't have TeamViewer are not experiencing this issue at the moment. So,
yeah, well, and what they're really saying is it's not
Our
a hack
fault.
right now. Right. It was a hack a while back, but right now we're not being hacked, and we can say that.
So TeamViewer's PR team came up with that nice little bow to put on it, but
That's right.
ultimately, it doesn't matter if it's a hack or not, or what type of a hack it is, or how it's happening. It's happening, so protect yourself.
Right.
It's pretty interesting. One of the very large software companies that we deal with, a vendor, TeamViewer is their number one choice for communicating remotely.
Right.
I mean, this is a large hospital, insurance.
Well, TeamViewer's huge, man. They're everywhere.
You know,
Yeah.
I've never heard of TeamViewer being someone's number one choice, though. It's like, I couldn't get LogMeIn.
Right.
Yeah, we use GoToAssist just because we're not allowed to use TeamViewer just because of the security risk.
Yep.
So
basically, if you have TeamViewer, get rid of it. Or change your password.
For now. I mean, you might be able to reinstall it in the future.
The big thing is if you just change your password and turn on two-factor authentication, you'll be fine. The problem is that there's a lot of people out there that are still using the same password from TeamViewer from 2 years ago. There was a breach, a rather large breach that released usernames and passwords for a lot of people. So, yeah, you just change your password. Wait a minute. Have I said this before on the show?
It seems like it's a frequently, always
Almost always repeated
thing.
I think so.
Yeah, change your passwords, people.
Yeah, because ultimately, if you have secure passwords and you change them frequently and you don't save them in your browser, assuming that someone did get into your computer with TeamViewer, it might not even matter.
Well, yeah, but they wouldn't even be able to log in if you changed your passwords.
Yeah, because a lot, like the people who are getting their PayPal accounts and their bank accounts drained, I'm guessing that those people have their passwords saved in their browser,
Yeah, don't do that either.
or it's the same password that they use for TeamViewer.
Oh, I hope not. All right. So anyway, get rid of TeamViewer or change your password and enable two-factor authentication. Let's take a call and let's talk to, what is that, Lexanne?
Good morning.
Good morning.
About 6 weeks ago, or 5 or 6 weeks ago, just before I went on vacation, I foolishly clicked on that Windows 10 thing, and after spending 3 hours of waiting for the darn thing to load, I found that it slowed my computer down tremendously. And my niece, who does IT through her job, kind of played with it. She likes Windows 10, and she played with it. And it does have some bells and whistles, but it takes about 30 to 45 seconds to even open my computer, whereas when you guys worked, and I think it was Windows 7 I had before, and you guys worked on it, and you turn it on and it was on. Now I sit and wait and wait and wait, and it slowed down where I can out-type the computer again.
Okay.
And everything just seems to take so much longer than it did under Windows 7, and I don't know what my options are at this point. I just retired, so I don't have a lot of money to pay somebody to get my Windows 7 back. So what's your best suggestion?
All right, so let's get some detail about your setup there. Which antivirus do you have on the computer?
Right now, I think I have Avast, and then I have Malwarebytes. So the
Okay.
two that I have.
Which browser do you use?
I generally use Google Chrome.
Okay. Do you have any others installed?
Pardon?
Do you have any other browsers installed?
Well, it's got Internet Explorer, but I don't use it. It's there.
Right. Is Firefox on there is the question.
No, I got rid of that.
Okay, good. All right, get rid of the antivirus too. All right,
Get rid of the antivirus?
Right, antivirus should be uninstalled prior to the upgrade. 'Cause
Okay.
Otherwise, in many cases, we're seeing that your antivirus is running and Windows Defender is also running. So you have two antiviruses, and it really slows down the machine.
Okay.
So for the moment, uninstall Avast.
Okay.
Leave Malwarebytes on there. It's important.
Okay.
And that's about all I would suggest, really.
Okay. So is this a typical response where, as I say, in like if I'm on Facebook, it takes forever to scroll down, and some windows I can't even open, or at least I get too impatient to wait for them to load. And is that so? Do you think that the Avast and the
I'm guessing that it's an antivirus problem at the moment. Now, if that doesn't solve the problem, right? If it's still slow after that, then there's something very wrong with the machine. So,
Okay.
and if that's the case, you could just roll back to 7.
Okay. So okay. Well, I will try that, and I may call you again next week to figure out how to roll back from 7, because you had replaced my hard drive not all that long ago, within the last 14, 15 months. And I could say it was humming like a top. It's about a 5 or 6 year old Dell Inspiron, but it's worked beautifully.
There goes Microsoft, messing up all my good work.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay, well, I will take a vast off it at my first opportunity and see if it speeds it up. And if not, you may hear from me next week.
All right. I look forward to it.
Okay, thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, let's take a moment to mention our sponsor. That would be Perfection Auto Works. You can visit their website at perfectionautoworks.com. Their new website.
Brand new.
It has to be, I have to admit, it's a considerable improvement over
It is.
there.
It's really nice.
Because I'm going to give Mike some honest feedback here. The previous website was atrocious, but now it's better. It's way better. So you should go check it out. If you want, I wonder if he should do like visit our old site just so you can see
The difference.
the improvement. And if you want to see an improvement in the performance of your vehicle, go visit Perfection Auto Works. Get your 26-point inspection for free. Like, that's my favorite number. Free. Yes. Check them out. Listen to their ad. It's coming up next right here on the Computer Guru Show.
Computer troubles? Need some advice? Call in now. Mike Swanson will be back after these messages. The Computer Guru Show, AM 1030, KVOY, The Voice. Your technology guru, Mike Swanson, is answering all your questions one by one.
Yes, science!
So chime in with yours. The website is gurushow.com. Tune in, click in, and kick back. This is the Computer Guru Show.
Oh, yeah. There's a radio show happening here. Busy being not nice to Tara. We were being unkind.
I think she's mad at me.
No, it's just par for the course. It's good.
It's not par for the course. I'm not generally rude to you. Well, all right, maybe a little.
We're generally rude to Tara, apparently.
Apparently, we're always rude to Tara.
Always.
Was there anything that I said that upset you?
No, not really.
Okay.
Why are you mad?
I
Brian?
don't really get offended by
Just curious.
much.
Is there anything that I said that could be construed as hate speech?
No.
No.
Oh,
No.
hate speech.
You know.
But you never know. If we lived in the UK or something, I might be a little bit more offended.
Kent, what do you think hate speech is? Come on, tell me.
I don't know, man. It's like a come clean moment right at the.
Yeah, you're on the spot. What do you think would qualify as hate speech? All right. Yeah, I mean, don't do examples.
It's all interpretive. Yeah, it's all interpretive, I guess, by the people, or by the person that it may be directed to.
It's awfully subjective, don't you think?
What if you said something and then I said, I disagree? Is that hate speech?
I wonder. All right, so
Only if you're an attorney.
welcome to the First Amendment segment of the Computer Guru Show. As it turns out, there's lots of European countries that need to adopt some form of a First Amendment. Like all of them.
Go figure.
Preferably in the next 24 hours.
Right. They've got I think they've got something like 8 hours left. But the EU has given Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Microsoft 24 hours to censor all hate speech. All of it.
Really?
Yeah. The question is, what constitutes hate speech?
That's always been the question, and the problem is that, ultimately it can be anything.
And they used my favorite argument during this particular, the EU. It's for the children, right? We want to make sure that there's nothing that's inciting violence against people for,
I don't think that the EU government members have played on Xbox Live because most hate speech comes from kids.
Right?
I like the subtitle in it, though. It made me giggle. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Microsoft will have to quickly remove racist and xenophobic content or face the wrath of Brussels.
Man, Brussels.
Wait. Okay, so it's for the kids, right? Are they protecting Brussels sprouts?
Ba-dum-tsh.
Yeah.
I give that one a 4.
Got it. You don't,
Of 100.
4 out of 10.
Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
All right, just making sure. All right, so here's the deal, though. The hate speech bit is who determines it's hate speech. As an example, There was this big thing that happened at DePaul University last week. All right, and there was a speaker that was basically paid, a political group, a students' political group, paid to have a person come in and speak at this particular college. And some people that were of a different political view determined that even though the speaker was not only speaking his opinion, but also had statistics and stats to back everything up, they determined that what he was saying was hate speech and basically protested and shut down his event in the middle of it. And so who determines what is and is not hate speech? Is hate speech simply disagreeing? Is hate speech saying you're wrong? Is hate speech saying I don't like you? And is there any reason to censor any of that? Why?
Not to mention on a scale of the internet, that's a massive undertaking.
It's a huge undertaking. And I have all kinds of reservations about this. I mean, first of all, we know it's only going to work in English, right? At least up front, it's only going to work in English. The people who are designing these things the English language is pretty easy from a syntax point of view, is pretty easy to tell whether or not somebody's being hateful. But there's a lot of nuance in other languages. There's a lot of nuance in English, for that matter, right? Where you could slip something by a hate filter. And who's to say that what you're saying isn't hate speech, right? It's you could say something that is potentially mean without being hateful.
I mean, all of this is ultimately going to be decided automatically as well. So it's not like somebody's going to review your comment and say, oh, that's not actually hate speech. So unless the algorithm is perfect, which it's not, we know it's not.
Right. Will it understand satire?
Yeah. I mean, Siri or whatever personal digital assistant you use doesn't get what you say most of the time, let alone, a fair number of times. So I don't think there's an algorithm sophisticated enough to be useful in this context yet. And
let's look at it especially on Twitter. For many people in third world nations, or second world, I guess, Twitter is their only source of news. Twitter is their only way that they can contact the outside world in such a way that is unfettered to allow them to spread the truth or their take on how things are at the moment. And for a lot of people, that's how they learn about things that are happening in the Middle East, or learn things are happening in certain areas of the world where there is no other reputable news source. There is there's no opposition, right? There's no alternative to that. Now, what if these people are trying to say something that it's important and the filter deems it as hate speech?
Especially if that filter is based on what, that country's government considers hate speech.
Right.
Because just put that in the context of the United States. What if suddenly just questioning a decision that the president made or your local congressman made, the congressman's like, well, that's hate speech. You just hate me.
Right. And you should go to jail.
I mean, that sounds like a throwback to The Man in the High Castle or something like that, It's not very nice.
So you made the analogy before the show. We were talking about it's illegal to scream fire in a movie theater unless there's actually a fire.
Yeah, unless there really is a fire.
Right. So if there is a fire, you should be allowed to say it. Now, if you have some sort of automated filter that is preventing you from saying fire, then, well, what about all the people that are going to suffer because of it? Because they couldn't get the advance warning, because they couldn't get the word, because they couldn't hear someone's idea and opinion. And the whole idea of censoring hate speech is one of those things that I just totally don't understand. Right? And a lot of it's, we'll call it my American privilege, right? Because I've always grown up in a world where I had the right to say whatever I wanted. And because of that, I feel like everyone should have that right. I feel everyone should have the ability to say whatever they want to say. But people want to be able to have the right to not be offended.
But I mean, in my opinion, it's up to me to not be offended. It's not up to other people to make sure that I'm not offended.
I think that's a healthier way to look at it. And the idea that you let the crazy people speak is important, because sunlight is the best disinfectant, right? You let the crazy people come out and say, here's my crazy idea. And and society as a whole smacks down crazy ideas and says, "Oh yeah, you're dumb as a bag of rocks." Right? If somebody comes up with just a maliciously stupid idea, right? Just to say, well, I'm going to go ahead and say that bananas cause cancer, right? And I'm just going to put that into the world, right? If you're feeding your kids bananas and they're getting cancer and autism because of it, right? And if I put that idea out in the world and I even put out let's go ahead and say I put out some fake medical reports to go ahead and say that may happen, the world at large should smack me down for that, should put me in my place and probably hurt my feelings, especially if I really believe that.
Yeah, sometimes having your feelings hurt is constructive.
Well, pain is a great teacher. And I think that the idea that people are making their way through lives, whether it be on college campuses today and little safe spaces and all of this other stuff, right? You need to get your feelings hurt. That's what really needs to happen. And you don't have the right to not be offended, right? You have the right to take it however you want, right? But you can't censor me. You can't put your own rights over those of everyone, right? Just because your feelings are hurt.
There's another 2-word name for a safe space: echo chamber. If you don't let new ideas in, they're just gonna bounce around the room. Your own ideas. And you'll never hear anything else.
Right, and then there's another part of this, right, which is the especially in Europe. There were some bad things that happened recently in Europe. There's been some shootings, and there's lots of immigration problems, and there's a fair amount of things that are making it into the news as far as rapes and molestations and all of this stuff on huge scales. I'm talking thousands of people. And people are taking to social media and expressing a discomfort with the way that they're seeing the world at the moment. And in Europe, it turns out that if you say something disparaging that someone finds disparaging about another group, you'll be arrested. You have no freedom of speech in Europe. You have the right to get arrested if you say something that is deemed hurtful or hateful towards another person or group. And the instances of this are just out of control. Now, before the show, we were talking about how European governments are collecting huge amounts of data on people, right? About their social networks, about the number of people that they interact with, about all kinds of data, and putting it into a giant database. Now, we all know, if you've listened to the show at all, how I feel about giant databases of data. But this is a really good example of where you can connect dots that don't necessarily exist because you just have the data points. Let's take my Facebook page as an example. I have hundreds of Facebook friends, air quotes involved. I know almost nobody on my Facebook page. Very few people do I actually know. And most of the people are you guys, listeners, or people that have been to the shop and they're like, hey, I want to talk to Mike Swanson, right? Chances are you're not. Right. So, there are people that are in my employ that manage my social media stuff. So I probably won't even see it, but these data points exist. Now, let's say that one of these Facebook friends is somebody who's going to do something terrible, right? They're on their own social media. They maybe like a couple of my posts because they enjoyed one of the radio show rants. They just happen to, comment on something that I did 2 years ago. But today, they wrote some sort of online manifesto, and then they go out and they go on some sort of brutal killing spree.
Well, you're friends with that person.
Yeah. Now, I'm friends with that individual. They commented on my post. So how am I wrapped up in this? I don't even know that person. Don't know them at all. Right? It's these data points that exist.
They can paint a picture however they want.
Right. You give it enough time and enough data points, they can say anything that they want. Who knows if we look at the metadata from my cell phone, that we happen to be at different pumps at the same gas station on the same day. But
Now you're a conspirator.
right now I'm somehow involved. Right? Never talked to the person, don't know who they are, wouldn't recognize them at all. But the data could be there to paint that picture. And how would I refute that? Would a jury believe it? Well, you guys both met at this gas station.
Chances are you won't even remember that incident.
Right. So this is why I am so firmly against the collection of metadata.
And let's not, to use a meme, let's dispel the notion that they won't be marking every time somebody gets censored by one of those algorithms. It would be so easy to make sure that they're keeping a table of every time somebody has been censored.
Right. This person has said X amount of hate speech things,
Right.
quote unquote hate speech things over the last year about a particular thing. The thing is, though, is who gets to decide what is hate speech? And I think that you shouldn't be censoring people. You should be educating people. You shouldn't be telling people to shut up. You should be telling them, everyone else, to speak up. Right? So if you don't silence one person or a small group of people, you let the power of society come down upon them and say, you are an idiot. And stop them from thinking that way. Because there are people out there, and believe me, I've been doing a bunch of research for another project on YouTube, and I have found the most insane people on the planet that are putting out videos that are informational, educational, that are trying to build a coalition, a following, this is what I believe, and it's these things that are nuts, that are just insane, and people need to call them out on it. People need to be able to say, you know what, you need to stop what you're doing because you are misleading the world. You are making it so that people are dumber simply by watching your video. And so these types of hate speech, right, things that are, even if they truly are hate speech on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, anywhere, right, you let the crazy people or the hateful people put that out there.
If not just for the reason that now you know who that person is.
Right. Now you know who the hateful person is. But at the same time, you might have the opportunity. And if enough people come down upon them and say, if enough people come down upon them and say, you are wrong and your idea is wrong and you are hateful and you need some education, then you let society do its job. You don't censor them because that just makes them martyrs to the cause. This is a Computer Guru Show. We'll be right back.
Your computer guru, Mike Swanson, is here to help you tame that beast of a machine. Join the chat right now at gurushow.com or call in. This is the Computer Guru Show on KVOY. Mike Swanson, your computer guru, is just a click away. Listen and watch at gurushow.com. This is the Computer Guru Show on KVOI, The Voice.
Welcome back to the Computer Guru Show. My name's Mike, here to deal with your technology needs and treat you like a person in the process. Are you deciding the next segment?
Well, I know that we talked about the tattoo recognition story a little bit as well. And that kind of ties into what we were just talking about.
A little bit. The FBI is developing a tattoo recognition software that law enforcement would be able to use to get more information about the origin, the connections, the sort of networks that people with specific tattoos have, primarily gang members and stuff like that, that would be able to sort of tile these things together. Now, EFF, the Electronic Freedom Foundation, I think that's what it is all up in arms about this because they are using images from prisoners without their consent. People who have been put into federal prisons.
Now, I could be completely wrong about this, but I feel like I remember that, reading that when you're in prison, especially for a federal offense, you don't really have the right to privacy or to consent to them using information about you for that purpose. Because it's not like you have the right to not have your mugshot taken. Like they'll hold you down and take that picture.
I'm sorry, I don't give you the permission to take my fingerprints.
Also, photos of like mugshots are publicly available. They're public information as well.
Right. I think what they're mostly concerned about is tattoos that are of a personal nature. Like, child's name or, religious something or other.
So this is going to sound a little bit contradictory to the stance I took in the last segment. But when it comes to stuff that happens in public, like you're walking down a street and a security camera gets your face and then your facial recognition software determines who you are.
Right.
I don't think that you have any right to expect privacy in public. I think that it's up to each person to protect their privacy when they're in public. So if you're just walking down a street and a camera picks up your tattoo, maybe you should have worn long sleeves if you didn't want that to happen.
Not gotten the tattoo.
If you're in your own home, obviously you do have an expectation of privacy. But in public, it's not really fair to assume that you're going to be in private all the time.
That's true. That's true. Now, as it pertains to like facial recognition or metadata sources that we were talking about earlier, there needs to be some limits placed on that type of stuff. But I also understand that a lot of it's out there for pretty good reason. Especially when you look at the stuff that they're putting in at airports and stuff like that. Yeah, okay, fine. Do some facial recognition. I'm cool with that.
I also think that I have to say that I'm not saying I agree with their plan to do it. I'm just saying that I'm going to expect that they are, and I'm going to take steps to protect myself from that expectation. So even if I totally disagree with what they're doing, you still have to protect yourself from it.
Right.
Because disagreeing isn't just now it doesn't happen.
It's hate speech, bro.
Yeah.
It's hate speech.
I don't want to get hit by a car, so I don't walk in the road. It's not like I just walk down the road and being like, if you hit me, you just hate me.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's a certain amount of common sense involved. And I agree. If you're in public, at least in the United States, that it's public, man. That's just the way that it works.
Any person has the right to point a camera at you in public and take a picture.
That is correct. Unless you have a drone.
Yeah, then you have to register it.
/sarcasm. All right, just... People lose their minds about the drones.
Do you have a concealed drone permit, Mike?
No. No, I do not. Okay. So there's been a lot of hacking stuff going on this week.
And some hacking that actually didn't happen as well.
And some hacking that didn't happen as well. There's a hacker goes by the moniker Ghost Shell that leaked 39 million accounts in a security protest. Now, we don't know where they came from. He just dumped huge amounts of data out there on the internet and said, here's a bunch of usernames, passwords, social security numbers, all this stuff, all from databases that did not ask for usernames or passwords to get to. Internet-facing databases with no security at all.
And I mean, at some point, that's a public service announcement, not a hack attack.
Yeah, and that's what he's saying. He's like, I tried contacting these places. They didn't respond. So, yeah, here's all the data.
Now I'm going to force them to respond to it.
Right, and it turns out that you're probably in this list. It's just the data set is so huge that they're still trying to go through it.
And that's ultimately your only form of protection is that you're one of millions. So the likelihood of you being targeted is small.
And some of them were like cloud hosting places with billing data in there. It's ridiculous.
And this goes back to what you were talking about on one of the episodes where I wasn't here recently. The cloud is just another computer. It's not a magical protected server database somewhere. I mean, anybody can run a cloud service.
Right. I run a cloud service.
Yep.
Right. There are people that connect to various servers that we have that for their services. Right?
That name, the cloud, makes people think that it's secure. Like, it just sounds imposing.
It's not.
It's like if they called it the vault. It's still just somebody else's computer somewhere.
Now, there are a couple of places that are actually pretty decent at cloud security. Now, Google's one of them.
Yeah.
Google doesn't mess around when it comes to their security of their stuff. There have been minor infractions into the Google services, but they are very short-lived, and they generally don't get away with anything. First of all, Google doesn't have a whole lot of information about you that it can be traced back to like a social security number or billing, or credit card payment or anything like that. And of those services that do have credit card information at Google, they've never been hacked to our knowledge.
Yeah, I can't remember a data dump of millions of Google Pay accounts or something like that. I don't believe that's happened.
Nope. Now, there's another company who's very good at security, oddly enough, and that's Dropbox.
That's why I was surprised when you read the title of this coming story. I was like, what?
Yep. Dropbox is involved in the week of mega breaches just because there's millions and millions of accounts that have been leaked out onto the internet because of faulty security. And by the way, we'll just harken back here for a moment that let's try not to weaken SSL or give back doors to the enemies when it comes to security, because you think these breaches right now or something, you just wait until you put a back door in there. And as soon as that back door makes it out there, you're done. Anyway, but Dropbox was two services. What was the name of the service? I can't remember the name of the services now. What's the one where LifeLock? That's the one where the guy put his social security number out there and got hacked. LifeLock, if you don't know who they are, they used to be this thing where they'd lock down your credit report and they were and your whole credit profile, and they were so confident that the CEO put his social security number on billboards all over the country and said, "This is my real social security number. I'm so confident in my product. Here's my social security number."
And his identity got stolen all the
multiple times over. His identity got stolen, so they stopped doing that. But they also do this thing at LifeLock where they look for security breaches and find out if you are involved in a breach, if any of your information may be. And they're using a relatively robust AI to pull this off that's looking at all this leaked information out there and tries to figure out where it came from and then warns you if you were a part of that. And so LifeLock had basically sent out a bunch of emails to all of its users saying, "Hey, guess what? Dropbox has been breached. You need to change your password and cancel all your credit cards that were involved with all that stuff." And it turns out that
never happened.
Never happened. It was a mistake.
It would be pretty crazy to hear that did happen, because Dropbox is like one of the only companies that's taking all the precautions they can to prevent it from happening.
And oddly enough, and interestingly enough, you can tell that they're doing a good job over at Dropbox because you don't feel that. Like, have you noticed how much of a pain in the butt it is to sign into your bank's web account? Right? It's a pain.
They need a blood sample.
Right.
Sent in. 2 weeks later, you can get in.
Right. You have to send an analog letter.
Snail. Yeah.
To the past. Right. Just it's a pain in the butt to get into the bank account, but bank accounts get hacked all the time, even with the pain in the butt. But Dropbox, very seamless little setup, and never been hacked. Never.
It actually feels unsafe because of how easy it is to use.
And they have all these clients. There's all kinds of client server data going back and forth. Dropbox is doing it right. Thumbs up to Dropbox. We'll give them some kudos.
Turns out, though, you could have had a better or more accurate alert about things that have been hacked if you just signed up for a Google News broadcast.
All you need to do is go over to Reddit and check out the technology section. You'll know when things get breached. Yeah, that's where TeamViewer figured it out. Well, they're still denying it, but whatever. We'll be right back.
Whether you're dealing with hardware installation or, heaven forbid, a virus,
No!
Mike Swanson is answering all your questions one by one. So call in or chat in with yours. The website, gurushow.com. Tune in, click in, and kick back. This is the Computer Guru Show on AM 1030 KVOY The Voice. Mike Swanson, your computer guru, is just a click away. Listen and watch at gurushow.com. This is the Computer Guru Show.
I am so metal.
Hardcore,
man.
Mike was headbanging to the intro music.
Yeah, that's hardcore
This is
stuff.
definite headbanging music.
That's right.
Well,
Yep.
I'm a huge metal fan.
Gonna put a picture of that in the show notes.
Yeah, wearing a shirt that says "I'm a huge metal fan," and then it has a metal fan.
It has a picture of the old fans, like from the 50s, room fans.
Yeah,
fancy.
Nice.
I giggled a lot.
So Tara,
Yeah.
there's a movie coming out.
Yes, there is.
I saw in the notes that you looked pretty excited. You even emoted in the notes about this movie.
All I put was Warcraft opens this week, and then in the notes I put squee.
After a squee, don't they normally call for a cleanup on that aisle?
So tell me about the Warcraft movie.
Okay, so a lot of people have heard of World of Warcraft.
Never heard of it. Tell me about it.
Yeah, even if you've never played it, you've heard it mentioned. So it's an MMO that's been played. This movie is not that.
What's an MMO?
Massively multiplayer online role-playing game, MMORPG.
What's a role-playing game?
We could go on forever with this. So anyway, yeah, Warcraft takes place before World of Warcraft during the time, I think it's like between Warcraft 2 and 3 or something like that, which is the original games, Warcraft 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
And then there was World of Warcraft after that. And World of Warcraft came out in 2005, 2004, something like that. So it's been out a while anyway. So this is the story that happens before that. It looks cool because they've actually integrated real people with CGI. So like the orcs and the fantasy type creatures are all CGI played by actors. And then the humans and all those people, those are played by actual people.
All right. So I read a few reviews about this movie. And many of them said that if you are familiar with the Warcraft and / World of Warcraft lore, the Blizzard background, that you'll probably enjoy this movie.
Yes.
But if you do not understand the background of this, you might be completely and thoroughly lost.
That was going to be my question. I don't really know much about World of Warcraft or Warcraft in general.
I actually read a review from somebody who had not played any of the Warcraft games, but was somewhat familiar with them, like knew it was orcs versus humans and whatnot. And they felt that the movie had a bunch of tired cliches. And I'm like, well, then it's obvious you've never played Warcraft or World of Warcraft, because that's what the entire game consists of, is old cliches of man saves the woman and bad guy is the orc and the good guy is the human and they fight and all this other stuff. I
Well,
mean,
I guess it depends on which faction you're fighting for.
When I think
Well,
of
yeah.
World of Warcraft, I do think old and cliche. So I guess
yeah, there you go. I
So-
still play, so whatever. I got a tattoo of it.
You're gonna go
They're
see
going
it.
to be scanning my tattoo, and they'll know data points,
the
metadata.
FBI. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're going to go see it.
Yeah, I'm going to see it.
Okay, and just as a throwaway 10-second thing here, the X-Men Apocalypse. Yeah. What do you think? You going to go see that?
I want to see it, especially now that billboard is getting such.
Which
huzzah.
billboard?
Oh well, I'm writing an article about it. I'll link it to you later.
Okay.
As someone who is familiar with the X-Men comics because I love them, I don't know how I feel about it.
Huh. Okay. Well, I know that Rose McGowan thinks that it's totally sexist that
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
what's her
with
name
billboard.
gets choked.
Mystique.
Mystique. Yeah.
Yeah, not what's
The-
her name.
the-
It's Mystique, okay?
The
Get with it.
Spiky blueberry girl, whatever her name is.
Mystique, she's awesome.
Let's take a moment to mention our sponsors once again. Perfection Auto Works, thank you very much for supporting the show. And if you want to, as a listener, would like to say thank you to Perfection Auto Works, you can give them a call and tell them that you heard about them from the Computer Guru Show. And that, take your car down there. Yeah, they do good work. I mean, anybody who's got a waiting list like that, must be doing something right. Right.
And it's like 110 this weekend, so yeah, go get your car fixed.
Yes.
Get that AC working.
Yeah.
Also, you can sponsor us on Patreon. You can go to gurushow.com and look for the Patreon link, or go to patreon.com/gurushow, and you can donate as little as $1 a month. If you happen to donate more, you can make Terrace say whatever you want. Something like,
Desert Pro Commercial Cleaning LLC, the best Tucson janitorial services, and you can find them at TucsonDesertPro.com.
make sure that you go to go to gurushow.com, click on the link where you can subscribe to us on YouTube. You can also visit us at 64 North Harrison or 510 East Fort Lowell, or at azcomputerguru.com. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Computer Guru Show. If you did, please consider sharing it with your friends and subscribing to this channel if you haven't already. Your subscription helps us reach new audiences and expand the show in new directions. Please also consider supporting us on Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you can help the Computer Guru Show expand into a longer format, as well as support the production of new content for this channel. Links are in the description below, and thank you again. We'll see you next week.